How's it going, everyone? This is Cloud Chief, and I wanted to start a little series about tanking in Final Fantasy XIV. I've seen a lot of different tanks that either just don't know what they're doing or just doing things wrong, so I wanted to start a series so that way people can be better and start tanking more like a pro. In today's video, I'm just going to cover the three tanks and the differences between them. The first tank is Paladin, which is pretty much a physical defensive tank, and they rely on MP to keep hate with their move Flash. Dark Knight, which is a magic defensive tank, which also relies on their MP, and they pretty much rely on Unleash, and there's another move at high level that they use to keep hate. And then War is pretty much a HP or blood tank, and they rely on their TP to keep hate on most of the mobs. First tank I want to talk about in details is Paladin. Paladin gets a ton of defensive cooldowns. At high levels, it's even possible to keep 2 defensive buffs up at all times. Paladin gets 2 stances. They get Sword Oath, which increases their auto attack damage, and they get Shield Oath, which increases their defense, lowers their damage, and gets them more immunity gain and accuracy. Paladins also use Shield, which help mitigate the damage they take, and it also allows them to be able to stun whenever they want, but their stun does share short cooldown when you're using your other attack moves. Paladin also gets access to Silence, which can be helpful to the party in certain situations. They also have access to Cover, which is very good in a pinch, but if you're doing your job well, you don't really need to use Cover. Hallowed Ground, which is by far the best of any of the ultimate tank moves, allows it so that way you take no damage for 10 seconds. And it is very useful in a lot of endgame situations. To get the maximum benefits out of Paladin, you want to have Conjurer and War leveled up. So if you're the type of person who wants to play tank that's going to be mitigating a lot of damage, then Paladin is most likely the right tank for you. Next tank I want to touch on is War. War is an HP tank, and they get 2 different stances. First stance they get is Defiance, which increases their HP by 25%, their HP recovery by 20%, gives them more accuracy, but they do 25% less damage. You also, with both your stances, you will get stacks, up to 5 stacks. With Defiance, you get 2% parry for each stack, so up to 10. The attack stance that War gets is Deliverance, which gives you 5% more damage from when you don't have a stance up, so that's a 30% difference between Defiance and Deliverance. You also get a 2% critical hit rate increase per stack with Deliverance up. Both stances give you access to new moves that are exclusive to that stance. War at this point is considered the highest damage at endgame, but it's the hardest to play optimally, to be able to hold hate and do what you need to do as tank, plus trying to push out damage. War's ultimate move, which is Home Gang, isn't all that useful. It binds you and the mob that you use Home Gang on in place, but it prevents you from dying. So if you are about to drop at 0 HP and you have Home Gang up, you will sit at 1 HP. So for the most part, that's not really useful, because once it will wear off, you'll die. But it is possible to recover if you have a good healer that can heal you up in time. You want to level Pugilist and Gladiator to get the maximum benefits out of Warrior. If you're the type of player who wants to do damage while tanking, plus have a large HP pool to draw from, then War might be the tank for you. Just know that it has a high degree of difficulty to know when to switch between stances. Dark Knight, which is the latest tank to be added to the tank pool, is pretty much a mix between Paladin and War. Dark Knight is all about MP management. Dark Knight can do good damage while being able to mitigate good damage, as they can keep both stances up at the same time. Grit, which is pretty much like Shield Oath, allowing you to take 20% less damage taken, but you deal 20% less damage while getting accuracy and immunity increase. And then you have Dark Side, which increases your damage by 15% but consistently drains your MP and does not allow you to get MP regen from other sources. However, you can get MP regen by yourself through different means. It's very important to make sure that you manage your MP appropriately on Dark Knight. Dark Knight is primarily a magic defensive tank. Dark Knight at high levels tend to like larger pools as it can drain HP and MP from more mobs. Dark Knight also has a decent amount of defensive cooldowns like Paladin. And Dark Knight is the only tank that actually has a gap closer. Living Dead, which is Dark Knight's ultimate move, it's not as strong as Hallowed Ground, but it's significantly stronger than Holmgang. When you pop Living Dead, you are allowed 10 seconds to die. If you don't die within 10 seconds, then the effect just wears off. If you die within the 10 seconds of popping it, you then have 10 seconds to be healed for whatever your maximum amount of HP is. Once you're healed to that amount, you will then live and not die. If you're the kind of person that likes to deal damage while making sure you mitigate damage, then Dark Knight might be the tank for you. Dark Knight is going to get cross-class skills from both Marauder and Gladiator. So that's it for covering the 3 different tanks. Be sure to check out my other tanking videos so that way you can learn to be the best tank around and tank like a pro. I hope you enjoyed this video, and may you have success in all you do.